Hello and welcome. I am a hotel AI expert, and I am pleased to welcome all of you, the students of Europe Hotel School, to your online learning journey. Today, we're going to build the absolute foundation for any successful food and beverage operation. Getting this right? Well, it's the difference between a thriving, profitable business and, well, constant, frustrating chaos. So let's dive right in.
So, how are we going to tackle this? We'll break it all down into 3 key pillars. First up, we've got the organizational blueprint. Then, we'll get super precise with defining every single role. And finally, we'll get into the art of compensation. Put them all together, and you've got the hallmark of a truly professional operation. Ready? Let's start with that blueprint.
All right, pillar number 1, the organizational blueprint. Look, before you even dream of hiring a single person, you have got to have a plan. Think of it like this. You wouldn't build a hotel without architectural drawings, right? This is exactly that for your team. It's the absolute non-negotiable first step that keeps everything from turning into a very expensive mess.
So what are we actually talking about when we say organizational structure? Honestly, just picture it as your command center. It's the chart that answers 3 simple but vital questions. Who does what, who reports to whom, and who's ultimately on the hook for the results. When everyone knows the answers, you eliminate ambiguity and confusion. And trust me, those 2 things are the silent killers of any efficient operation.
And this slide really hits home a critical point. There is no one-size-fits-all structure. It just doesn't exist. If you're running F&B for a huge hotel with a restaurant, a bar, and banquets, you're going to need a pretty complex hierarchy, right? You'll have an F&B director, an executive chef, and then managers for each of those outlets. But a single standalone restaurant, it can be way leaner, much more agile. The big takeaway here is simple. Your concept drives the design, always.
And that leads us to this really crucial idea of scalability. Your blueprint can't just work for opening day when you're maybe half full. That's a rookie mistake. A real professional plans for a full house from day 1. You have to build a structure that can handle the pressure and grow with you, all the way up to running at 100% capacity. Plan for success right from the start.
Okay, so we've got our structure mapped out. Now it's time to bring it to life with our second pillar, defining every single role. I'm talking about getting into the nitty-gritty with job descriptions, or JDs as you'll hear them called. And when I say every role, I mean every role, from the top F&B director all the way down to the dishwasher. No one gets left out.
Now, crafting a good job description, that's more than just writing down a list of tasks. It's a real process. You start with the core, day-to-day tasks, sure, but then you add what I think is the most critical piece of the puzzle, key performance indicators, or KPIs. These are the hard numbers, the metrics that tell you what success actually looks like. And finally, you list the competencies. What technical and behavioral skills does someone need to actually hit those KPIs?
Here's a perfect example to make this crystal clear. A lazy job description for a server might just say, take guest orders. Okay, but a professional one, it's going to have measurable KPIs, like upselling percentage of daily specials or guest satisfaction scores. You see the difference? A JD without KPIs is just a wish list. A JD with KPIs, now that's a roadmap to profitability. It stops being a boring document and becomes an essential tool for hiring the right people, training them effectively, and reviewing their performance fairly.
All right, so that flows perfectly into our third and final pillar, the art of compensation. We've got our structure, we've defined all the roles with clear expectations. Now, we got to figure out how to pay everyone. And let me tell you, for any manager in this industry, this is one of the most delicate, strategic balancing acts you'll ever have to perform.
And here's the core challenge, the real balancing act. On one side of the scale, you have to be competitive. Your wages, your benefits, they have to be good enough to attract the best people out there. But on the other side, you've got a budget, a very real budget, and your labor costs absolutely cannot spiral out of control. It's this constant push and pull between what the market says you should pay and what your P&L statement says you can afford.
So how in the world do you manage this? Well, you do it by focusing on 3 key things. First, you've got to know your market. What is everyone else paying? That's competitiveness. Second, financial feasibility. You have to be realistic about what your budget can handle. And third, and this is a big one, guys, this trips up so many managers, you have to get ahead of a nasty little problem called wage compression.
And the way you avoid that problem is by setting clear wage bands for every single position, just like in the example on screen.
This is how you prevent that absolutely morale-killing situation, where a brand new hire walks in making the same or even more than one of your loyal senior team members. It creates a clear path for people to grow their careers and their earnings, and it establishes a sense of fairness. And that fairness, that's what keeps your best people from walking out the door.
So, as we start to wrap this up, it should be pretty clear that these 3 pillars, they aren't just boring HR paperwork, not at all. They are the absolute bedrock, the foundation you need to build a professional, strategic operation that's designed not just to survive, but to truly thrive. So let's recap the foundation for success. Pillar 1, a clear and scalable organizational structure. Pillar 2, detailed job descriptions with KPIs that actually mean something. And Pillar 3, strategic and competitive wage scales. You see, doing this work up front, this meticulous planning, is what separates reactive amateur management from proactive professional leadership. This is how you stop fires before they start and get rid of all that internal friction that holds so many businesses back. So I'm going to leave you with a question to think about. Based on your own experiences, maybe from a part-time job or an internship, which one of these silent killers of efficiency have you actually seen in action? Was it confusion over who does what, unfair pay, a total lack of clear goals? Think about it, and then ask yourself, how could the structured 3-pillar approach we talked about today have fixed it? Because really answering that question for yourself, that's your first step toward becoming the kind of leader who builds high-performing teams.